Hey guys, this is Kelly, and I'm here to give you your Slack tutorial for Live a Great Story. So stick with me, even if you've been on Slack for a bit. I'd love to show you some new tricks or some tips that maybe you didn't realize were there. Because if you can figure out Slack, if you know how to use the platform, then that means you're going to be getting the most out of your experience with Live, and that can be unbelievably supportive and beneficial in your own story. So stick with it. It should be under 15 minutes. I'm going to go really quick, but cover a lot of really key points. So first things first, this is the desktop version. This is how it appears on your computer. I do 90% of my Slack on there. I think it's a lot easier to read, to catch up on stuff. It just has a nicer format than the smaller version on your phone. The phone's fine. Obviously, it's good for quick messaging, but check it out on your desktop if you haven't already. I think you'll really like the way it looks. So let's start with your preferences. Go to the top left-hand corner. You click the little arrow. Click on Preferences and make sure that this second box is checked so that you're getting notifications when someone sends you a direct message or mentions you. You can even set it to certain keywords so that it notifies you, but you can kind of dive into that on your own time. That can get really personalized. The other thing I'll point out here is your Do Not Disturb. So Do Not Disturb is when you don't want notifications to be pushed automatically. So for instance, when you're sleeping. So they come with an automatic time set, but you can go in and change it to whatever time you want. The thing is, your other Slack users can actually override this. So you can see this little disclaimer. If I were to send a message to, let's say, Lou during his Do Not Disturb times, it will kick back an automated message before my message goes through, and it will say, Lou is on Do Not Disturb or is snoozed right now. Are you sure you want to send this? And if I'm mean, I can send it, or if it's important, you can always send it. But just a little disclaimer does pop up when you're on Do Not Disturb. The other things to point out here are the channel-specific notifications. So I want everyone to do this to at least one channel, and it's going to be this Updates and Events channel. And I'll explain what channels are in a minute. I know it's a little backwards, but bear with me. So you're going to click on Add Channel, click the bar, and it'll come up with all the channels that are available to you. And then you'll click Updates and Events, Next. And I want you to choose all new messages for both of these. So you'll always get notified for anything that's posted in there. And the only reason why I say to do it for that channel is because that channel is special. It only holds space for updates and events. So anything as far as like reminders or updates or new announcements, things like that will typically be bullet pointed in there. No one else posts in there. And we try to keep it as clean as possible so that you can easily jump to there and find out, when did Anne send out the last email? What was that about? When is this next weekly challenge due? Where can I find it? So there's a lot of like good info in there, and it's a quick reference point. So you'll change that, click done. And you can play around with that and really personalize it by taking whatever channels you want to put notifications on, and you can, mix and match what works for you. But again, I'm not going to dive too deep into it because we got a lot of other stuff to cover. So we'll come back to the main screen. And the biggest thing that I want you to take away is that there's really only two functions. There's really not too much that you can get lost in here. Once you understand that, I feel like it makes it a little bit more manageable if this seems scary to you as a new platform. So the only two things you can do really are direct messaging or a channel. So they're both forms of communication. Direct messaging is exactly what it sounds like. Sending a text message. You can do little groups of people, maybe 1 to, I think it's like 7 people you can add. And it works. It's very intuitive. It's exactly what you would think. You click on the plus, type in a name. Let's send one to Haley. Click go. And I actually already have a little conversation with her. So that's how it would work if you didn't see someone's name on the side over here. These are just people that I've already had direct message comments and messages back and forth with. So that's why they are still over here. But if you didn't find it, then you would just hit the plus, and then you can see every single person that is in the Slack channel. or Slack group, I should call it. All right. So then channels. So channels they're just like TV channels. So you know how you have HGTV, MTV, what's another one? HBO. You know what you're going to get on each specific channel, or at least like the flavor of what you're going to find there. HBO, you're going to see a lot of movies, a lot of like TV shows, whereas HGTV, it's going to be a totally different flavor of TV shows and things like that. Same thing goes for the channels here. So each channel is a very different purpose. There's a few that you should automatically be enrolled into as soon as you join Slack, and they are general, where obviously general conversation happens and everyone is a part of it. The other one is going to be challenges, where we talk about the weekly challenges and the new challenges are released in here. We'll kind of share things back and forth. The other one, updates and events. And I think there's one more that I'm missing, but I can't think of what it is right now. Anyway, they should come automatic. I think it's just those three. The other ones are all optional, except for the one that you're a group with. So your leader should have created a channel specific for your group, and you'll be able to find it there. They should be able to invite you. If you're not in a channel with a group leader, reach out to your leader or reach out to Zach, myself, or Anne, or Lou, and we can help kind of figure out what group you're supposed to be in and help get you into the correct channel. So the whole purpose of Slack and creating all these channels was to streamline this communication and really get more one-on-one conversation going and like more connection, because the Facebook group got really crazy, and this allows people to not only discuss things in their small group. So this is my little squad of 9 people, so we go back and forth, but we can kind of dive into deeper topics. So the beauty of the channels is you can make them about anything, and we have a few that are running right now. I don't think we're not really in a creation phase of channels because we have quite a few going. But for instance, there's one called book writing. There's quite a number of Live ambassadors and leaders that are actually in the process or wanting to write a book. So this is where all that kind of conversation would live. You can explore whatever channels you'd like, and you want to browse them, you just click on channels. And then you can just scroll down, and some of them might be self-explanatory, others not so much. So for instance, Frosted Flakes, like that's Julia's season 4 squad. If there's ever a channel that you're not sure what it is, what you would do is, this is funny, I never knew, I didn't realize that he made a channel of just his thoughts. It's funny. What you'll do if you find a channel that you don't know what it is, you can click, and each channel will have a description. If you click channel settings, view channel details, they didn't set a purpose, but usually there's a purpose that's written here. So anytime you see a channel, you'll be able to figure out what the channel is for. Typically it's self-explanatory. All right, so let's come back to some housekeeping things. So I'm going to click to general channel. And within the channel, there's a couple things to be mindful of. When you're going to post on somebody else's post, please use the reply button as opposed to posting down here in the bar, because using the replies helps to keep things really neat and organized so that you don't come back to a feed that is just line after line after line after line of just like conversations, kind of like Facebook, like people just having cross conversations, and it just gets really chaotic and hard to follow. So always use replies when you're trying to, comment back on somebody's post or something like that. And if you feel like it's going to go deeper than like 1 or 2 like pings back and forth, then you can go ahead and just direct message like whoever's involved and carry the conversation over there. So it's, kind of keeping things really nice and neat and not overwhelming. If someone were to take a day off from Slack and come back to 500 messages that don't really pertain to them, it still feels like a very heavy weight to come back to, and it feels like you have to go back and read it. At least that's how I've felt in the past with my, I guess, type A kind of OCD, coming back to a lot of unopened mail or messages. The other thing with posts, there's a couple cool features that Slack offers. So for instance, let's say I really like this picture, and I do really like this picture, but let's say I want to pin it. So a pin is something that you can reference and everyone can see a pin. So if I pin something, and let's say 3 months from now I say, hey guys, do you remember that picture of Ruben? And nobody knows what I'm talking about, I can say just check the pins, and you can always pull it up from there. So the way you pin something is you go, you go up here to more actions, click pin to general. Yes, I want to pin. And now this is pinned and it shows it up here. So what that means is if I want to find that, I can click this little button up here where it says view pinned items. And it will appear down in here. Should be this one. The other way to find it would be if you just click on channel settings. Let's close this out. If you click on channel settings, view channel details, and then you can look. There's like a couple nice little things that you can read up on in here, like related channels and highlights from the channel. But, oh, whoops. Here's all the pinned items. So these are the things that we've pinned. We might reference that. So for instance, Anne might say, hey guys, I pinned an item 3 months ago that says how to be the best ambassador or how to win $1 million. Why don't you check it out? And obviously you want to find that, but you don't want to have to scroll all the way through, 3 months worth of comments and pictures. So you can always just use the pin. All right, enough on pins. The other cool thing is that you can kind of have your own personal pins, which are called stars. So if I want to remember something just for my own personal reference, like this photo that Jessica posted, I can put a little star on the file. And then I can show my starred items by this little star up here in the top right-hand corner. And these are all the things that I've starred that maybe I want to come back to or just check out at a different time. So other little cool features about posts, add reactions. So that's when you add little emojis. Add a comment, so that would be like the replies that I was talking about. Oops. Under more actions, you can do a remind me about this. So sometimes we have like Zoom conference calls, or maybe there's, I'm trying to think what else you would remind about. I'm not really sure, but when you want to be reminded about a post, you can just do this and the Autobot will actually send you a little direct message that says, hey, you told me to remind you about this yesterday, here it is. So that actually does come in handy, especially for the calls and things like that, just as an extra little reminder for yourself. So that's kind of it as far as features for different posts. The only other thing that I'll mention, just because I think it's a really nice way to do a poll within my group, and I'm sure we'll be using it moving forward. So a really simple poll that you might see while you're using Slack would be something like, what is your favorite color? And you can feel free to use this type of a format to get answers to questions. It's super easy and kind of fun to use. So I'll just add my colors in. And we'll write red, blue, and pink. Okay, so you would pose a question and then have all, obviously, multiple choice answers and post it. And instead of commenting on what your color is, all you would do is add a reaction of the same matching emoji. Just a nice way to kind of do a tally. We'll delete this so I don't confuse anybody. But just a nice feature, cool way to get a head count on certain things. The other last final piece is if you see a channel that has a lock like that, it's a closed channel, so you have to be invited to it. So if you're a leader, you will, or if you're not a leader, you will not be able to come onto this one. There's a couple other ones out there, but typically everything else should be accessible. And the little Z here is what I talked about before, showing that, for instance, Lou is on Do Not Disturb, so let's send him a message, and you can see it shoots you back snooze notification, send one anyway, and I'm gonna send it still, just because. All right, lastly, very last thing, this top left-hand corner where it says notifications, where I hovered my mouse. Let's say you have a meeting to go to or something where you don't want any notifications to pop up. You can click on that and you can put on a snooze for X amount of time, and you can also access that Do Not Disturb schedule from your preferences from here. So you can go ahead and change that if need be. Okay, so that's kind of it. That is your crash course on Slack, and I hope that that was helpful. If you have any questions moving forward about Slack or about your group, maybe you can't find your leader, whatever it might be, just please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help, and Live should always be something that contributes and helps your story. It shouldn't be this weight and extra to-do thing on your story. So help us help you by just letting us know how the process is going and if there's anything we can do to make it easier and to support you moving forward. So thanks for hanging out. I enjoyed doing this. I will catch up with you all, I'm sure. Bye.